deux improvisateurs préférés, et une histoire de Mike. Alors une histoire, m'a-t-on dit, un mélange entre Moby Dick et Au cœur des ténèbres, dans une galaxie très, très, très lointaine. Je vous souhaite une excellente soirée.
Je sais pas comment je peux approcher ça vite. Juste avant le concert, j'étais en train de fermer mon tétine. C'est mon portable. Puis j'ai vu l'entraîneur de Tyree Nichols, il va commencer maintenant. Donc c'est encore un spectacle macabre de mon pays. Les enterrements américains de la violence, c'est sans fin. Et ça n'a rien à voir avec les choses que je vais rencontrer ici. Mais peut-être c'est une sorte de commentaire d'exil. Et à raison, je suis caché là. Je suis caché à Saint-Denis avec mes jouets. Et peut-être c'est pour oublier la douleur chez moi. Mais tu peux échapper à rien. Can't run from anything. On sait ça très bien. Bon, tout ça pour dire, ça c'est une histoire qui correspond avec les jouets. Donc, c'est quelque chose de léger et c'est une histoire très très débile. Mais vraiment débile. C'est vraiment un scénario Star Wars. Donc, t'inquiète. C'est tous ces premiers degrés. So there is a dimension. Dimension 09. Long ago and far, far away. There are Kort'dakians. A crumbled empire. They're usually purple with blue faces. They're kind of like space Ottomans. And they're stuck between two great warring empires now, the Bank and the Crown, who don't really factor into the story. There are corporate giants, and they take drugs that make themselves 5 feet taller than people who can't afford drugs. There is a need for fuel, and there are monsters. One of the corporate giants decided to pursue the myth of a Zeno king spawner, Enna. She was the youngest of the giants, wild and ambitious. After talking to a very intoxicated geologist under her employ at Joustra Corporations on the Orthan moon mine, she had become obsessed with the idea of a Zeno king. 2. Orthan and its 3 moons sit on a border between Old Crown Holdings and Kort'dakian space. At the beginning of the Civil War, the corporate giant seized Orthan and declared it a neutral zone, knowing full well it was Zeno ore potential. The moons officially lay in Kort'dakian jurisdiction, but the Kort'dakian Senate had little sway over the corporate giants. They found themselves in a custodial role over hostile moons due to the impenetrable caves and dangerous species. Without the resources to mount mining operations of their own, they were relegated to 10% of the mine profits, with Joustra Corporation purchasing Kort'dakian became only a security detail. 3. Lachtan. The dreaded Kort'dakian commando unit of the Violetian army was garrisoned at the mine. No unit dared venture more than 3 kilometers beyond the wire. The Lachtan elites felt slighted by such an ignoble detail. They changed the day Officer Ditho showed up. Ditho had with a discretion dossier under his arm in front of Kort'dakian Hall. He spoke only to the first chief and to the responsible. Within a week, a Violetian censor guide had arrived, and ancient Orthan natives brought to be related to Xenos who could guide people through the Orthan moon. 2 days after that, they were beyond the wire, after the base, on one of the most dangerous moons known to Kort'dakian. Far above the lockdown pay grade, the Kort'dakian discretion pack ordered Ditho to find a Xeno king. No known sentient had ever ventured beyond the mines, certainly not since the feed, when Xenos nearly wiped out all the sentients in the solar system 500 years prior. If Ditho failed, he knew there would be a team of Sangricians or Mertilians to finish the mission. Recovering his corpse would be low on the agenda. Ditho was the type of official who could change a conversation in favor of without saying a word. If he hadn't been an orphan and entered at the lowest rank, he would easily be a general by now. The fact that he had made official was quite a feat. He had commanded an armored swarm of Halas in this Halas sand war, and he had led several commando missions against surviving Halas strongholds, always willing to use brutality to his advantage. This brought him to the attention of the Hall, the Tusk. If by some miracle he completed the Xeno mission, he would be promoted to high official, one step away from commanding an army of his own. At this point, we begin to delve into the remains of Ditho's journal. I will adapt his voice. Day 1. It is not lost on me that my name, my only possession from birth, is etymologically close to this moon. I could have come from such a hell and simply been named for my departure point and then misspelled. Useless conjecture. I am here for one reason, a hunt of sorts. I am a hunter of sentience. I have been commanded to hunt monsters. Day 2. This mine is a prison. Why the oldest standing army in the solar system would submit to my being vassals for something as undignified as Joustra Corp is beyond my pay. I met with my lieutenants for the mission. The Lockdown Commando Chief, a professional cloaking his displeasure at what seems a frivolity. I have served with Katak, the biomech commander, before. He's talkative for my taste, but a capable soldier. And then there is the censor, an intellectual of sorts. Its conversation was informative, its talent for listening even greater. Day 3. Today we left the wire and camped on the plains. The censor brought us to a fossilized sahi, a spectacle to all. Apparently there are many, and it is no wonder that mining operations are so intense here. If what we find increases production, it will change the galaxy, I'd imagine. But for all I know, we are on a hunt for a mere trophy. Something a giant or magistrate will hang on the wall. Sahi, footnote, are a massive prehistoric mushroom capable of interplanetary pollination, the reason why so many planets became habitable over billions of years. The reason interplanetary travel became possible in Dimension 09 is in the last 2,000 years, the propulsive properties of the Sahi were harnessed. Around 700 sentients discovered Xenos feeding on smaller cultivated Sahi, processing the propulsive gas in their bloodstream, creating a propulsive fuel 10 times more powerful. Day 4. We led the lockdown squad on a raid of the hunter camp. This camp had been pre-sighted and we were well briefed. We took 3 casualties and lost 1 hovergun bike called a Zip nonetheless. The Chante, pink lizards, are primitive but vicious, and we were forced to liquidate all of them. The camp bosses were sent back to the mine. Orphan criminals gone native, I suppose. 4 bosses managed to escape. 1 bull and a moon native remained with us. The native is a tuck. I'd never met a tuck before. They're a bug-like sentient. Apparently they are great yarn spinners, but only in truths. He proved quite useful, as long as the reputation is true. According to the tuck, there is indeed a beast. Neither king or queen. Unbeknownst to imperial silence, the Xenos have no gender, but they can spawn. Not only is there a beast, but each generation of Xenos produces a larger Xeno that produces a Xeno that can speak. This all seems fanciful. The Tuck spoke in folklore of ancient orphan hunters, human-like quadrupeds that spoke to the beast child. I feel a fool to be sent here to hear such stories. I would be a greater fool to dismiss them. Day 5. The Tuck will lead us to a mountain of Sahi fossils. Apparently there's an entrance to the Akdak, the undermoon. The endless caves below the surface, according to the Tuck, living Xenos still roam here. Day 6. We camped on the plateau. We lost another zip pilot to a veggie beast. And we lost 4 men so far and only established 1 base camp. Tomorrow, the tunnel. Day 7. Today we entered the undermoon. The first night in the caves proved uneventful. Day 8. Within the cavern we came across the remaining hunters. Evidently hunter is a misnomer as they scavenged for Xeno remains. They were in a state of panic, not on account of us, but our proximity to the Xeno. They confirmed the Tuck's myths that there is indeed a greater beast produced by Xeno queens. They said the only reason we were alive was because our sensor and the Lockdown Commandos shared Xeno DNA, and that the Commandos sent may confuse the beast. They had no means of off-moon transport. They were scared. I saw no need to liquidate. Day 9. We retreated to the high ground in the cavern. An additional biomech, biorouter, and 2 zips and 5 commandos arrived this morning. Just as we entered the base of the cavern, Xenos attacked. We lost 3 zips and their pilots. The Xenos go for the machines first. The sensor killed the Xeno after a tussle. A Kort'dakian first, I'd imagine. 4 Xenos lay dead out of all 3. I'm determined to press on. The Chaque, our biomech squad leader, said he saw a blue Xeno and fired on it. I ran. It ran. Could this be our beast? Day 10. Deeper down. We lost 2 more commandos today in a narrow pass. The blue Xeno was spotted again, making camp. We will continue the mission. Day 11. The remainder of the expedition was lost today, attacked by 10 more Xenos. Kort'dakian was torn from his biomech and devoured. I survived only by an act of cowardice. Xeno corpses are enough to fuel a fleet. That should be some consolation. Day 15. I fear I am lost and followed. 16. 17. Day 18. Lost in massive cave tunnels, the blue beast appeared ahead of me. If I finish my mission in death, so be it. I'll pursue it until it consumes me. At least, with the sighting, I regain purpose. Day 19, I follow. It lets me follow. It waits and then it continues, always 100 meters ahead. At times it looks back. It has a terrible face. Have gone unconscious. I am dragged by the blue Zeno. It has brought me to a long coil and motions me to climb. I climb to a small perch in this vast maze of caverns. Before me sat the most curious being, so pale it seemed to glow. It resembled a Zeno no more than our sensor had. Its face both horrific and childlike. Though almost twice my height, it seemed diminutive. Then to my shock, as if shock was still possible, it spoke. This was no beast. This was a sentient. I thought for a moment this was the spawner. Its language was unknown to me, but as with any stranger, we communed through gestures and grunts. It was not the spawner, but the voice. Each spawner spawned a voice, one for every generation. It told me to sleep. They promised when I woke, I would meet her. The spawner. Day 27. I have seen the lead Zeno. I have spoken to its voice. I will repeat her words until I reach Kort'dakian lines. I save my strength for walking. I must reach the top of the cavern. Day 32. I pass the battle site. The Zeno corpses are gone, comrades are gone, carcasses of our machines only left. 33, day 34. I have reached the top cavern. The rear guard has been slaughtered. It's clear I am being allowed to live. It has been the case ever since the second attack. I am nothing more than a messenger. Day 36. I have reached the surface. I am alive. The base camp team recovered me from the lip of the cave. From their faces, it's clear I am not the same being they saw enter. I am on a hop ship away from this horrid, horrid moon. I am alive. Day 80. Physically back in my quarters in Kort'dakian, my mind remains in the cave. In my head, I will never return. I've had many debriefings. I have spoken to the high officials and the magistrates in the hall. I dutifully conveyed the spawner's message in each interview. We are awake. We are many. you will die. Chapter 2. Scroll through your feed and you see some horrific catastrophic event and it's happening in a place so remote to a people so distant you don't really react. You feel like you should react, but instead you just keep scrolling. This is one of those events. What was about to happen would break the hearts of many Kort'dakians and bottom out Orthan's economy, but be a mere blip in the news cycle for billions of crown subjects and bank clients wrapped up in the grind of a 200-year-old war. But what's about to happen would change their war too. It would change the galaxy, the moon, Orthan. One of so many it didn't even have a name, soft, except for Orthan Moon 2. Was it 1? No one even remembers. Everybody fucks it up, even on Orthan. But on the moon, one settler escaped a Xeno attack up on the southern pole. A hunter, well-versed in the tunnels, made it to Kort'dakian territory in 3 cycles, 5 days. It would have taken weeks on the surface. When he arrived at the Kort'dakian army forward base, he was terror and thirst-stricken. When Kort'dakian scouts picked him up on the plains, 10 clicks from the mine. When they brought him to command, he was babbling, oscillating between commands and pleas. We gotta go! We gotta run! We gotta run! Then take me with you. Where are your heavy ships? Take me with you. Stunned, he looked around at the mighty Kort'dakian division before him. The spider tanks, the biomechs, the artillery tracks, the speeders, the lines of troops. And he said, "Is this all you got? Is this all you got?" And in the middle of the settlers' interrogation, there was a terrible rumbling. Baffled scouts reported a stampede headed towards the Kort'dakian perimeter. A stampede of what? The commander demanded. Of everything, the scout reported. Whatever could run or fly seemed to be headed towards Kort'dakian lines. Kort'dakian guns and rifles made quick work of the animals, and soon there was a wall of beasts before the troops. The sudden stampede and subsequent massacre was obviously unnerving. Rumors spread in milliseconds through the ranks. The miners stopped their work to witness the spectacle across the ravine. Work had never stopped at Joustra mine before. Moments after the stampede, there was an unintentional, anticipatory silence. Even the mech stopped. Everything stopped, save the mine bar. But the ceaseless commerce of drinks over the counter and dark drop under the counter was brutally interrupted. There was a boom, followed by a violent tremor and another boom. A massive cloud of fine moon soil descending from the white sky, creating a smoke screen across the plain. The dust settled over and new shapes appeared in the clouds. At the mine, Foreman Chatang headed straight for the control tower. Mine bosses Tulek and Kahun were busy shredding files. Boss, did you hear that?
Yes, it's time to go.
What was it?
I got no idea, but I've worked in enough dumps to know when it's time to cut out.
Okay, right. I'll initiate evacuation procedures.
Son, Joustra policy from the board to the bug that cleans latrines is every sentient for itself. You have any explanation as to why this wouldn't apply now?
No, boss.
Then good luck to you.
In the distance, the plain, no longer green nor flat, but full of black-gray bumps stretching off to the horizon, illuminating above the ghostly bulb. The shift in the landscape could not be mineral. The black-gray matter seemed to wiggle and shudder in the thermals, and this was no hot moon. Top Office Commander Chaque dialed in his favorite far vision, his binoculars. These were not stones, these were beasts. They looked like no Zeno he'd seen before in reference logs, but it was clear that they had come from inside the moon. It was clear that they were many, they were organized, they were an army. The Kort'dakian division had been in parade formation all morning in face of this new threat that remained stoically still. They waited for the top office to give the signal. The top office communique sent the communique to the hall and raised his hand to the temple, transmitting the go sign to the division. All troops immediately to stations. Chaos ensued as miners scrambled to board anything that headed off moon, while troops took up positions on the mine. The battle was on. A beast army, engineered by beasts, the like of which the galaxy had never seen. The spawner voice had said,
we are awake, we are many, and you will die.
The plane pre-sighted up and blew fire. All the guns and rockets focused on the monsters in the distance. When the smoke cleared, the numbers were not diminished, and the beasts were speeding towards Kort'dakian lines. The rumble shook the infantry boots. Closer now, but in the distance, the bulbous creature took shape. It was a Zeno spider, something Kort'dakians knew only from myth. An ancient engineer, the creature that was built, that bugs built, only to bring more to the Kort'dakian demise. The catastrophe was too great to keep a lid on, and Kort'dakian communication traffic was exceeding the bandwidth. The TOC was calling. The hall was directly being informed that the entire division was about to be compromised. Where were the bombers? Where were the gunships? Mine bosses Tulek and Kahun made no effort to contact their superior in Port Ortholon. They quickly ran. It was one thing to run aliens, beasts. It was another thing to run from corporate giants in the bank. Enna, the corporate giant in charge of Joustra, had flown to Kort'dakian to intimidate the general staff about the mine at all contests, at all costs, and she was now witnessing her investment disintegrate firsthand. Ponslink, Nageta, Tulek, and Kahun had to disappear fast. As they skirted off the moon, they could see the battle shrink away in the distance. The indigenous were claiming a brutal vengeance. The creatures crashed over the wall of dead animals and into the Kort'dakian swarm. Small arms fire had no effect, and the beast had pincers, but when out of range, they simply spit a substance that had the impact of a 50 caliber round. They sliced Kort'dakian battalions to pieces in seconds. Only biomechs and spider tanks seemed to have an effect, but even these could only take out one at a time. Within minutes, the Xenobiobots were deep in the perimeter, wreaking havoc on the division. Kort'dakian official Chaque called fire on all pods. Oh, it was a
free-for-all. Blowing up yourself to save yourself. Blast your comrades to save his comrade. Kill everything just to save the mind, save the moon, save Orphan, save Kort'dakian, save the universe. Fuck it, just keep shooting. No, the biobots were intelligent. Within moments, they discerned the small arms fire was negligible. They went for the heavy armor. Kort'dakians put up a violent defense. One tanker managed to kill a beast with small arms fire at point-blank range. It was his last glory. The Xeno Spider engineers stayed cautiously out of the line of fire. They seemed weighted down by bullets. They were bulbous, their heads heavy with liquid. The Kort'dakians made an unfortunate revelation. It seemed the Xenobiobots could hop very far. This would be the end. And this is the countdown to the end. 1. By the time Kort'dakian gunships could engage, the Xenos were deep within Kort'dakian lines. The ships went for the Xeno reserves on the Sahi Plateau. The first gunship made a pass with its rotogun with little effect. On the second pass, a Xeno engineer was shot down with a gob of spit. The crew could not be rescued. 2. The mine itself jutted out on an adjacent plateau and faced another. A top official, Chaque, ordered his 2nd Battalion to take up positions around the mine itself. 3rd official, Tiem, was placed the 1st flock on the primary landing dock, 2nd flock on the massive drill support, 3rd on the collection structure, with a 4th flock on reserve at the mine entrance. This textbook tactical deployment would prove to be fruitless when the biobots hopped within the perimeter, causing immediate havoc. The very last miners tried to get to safety by blocking the entrance to the mine complex by cutting off the majority of the 2nd hive, 3. On the primary Sahi Plateau, the biobots were well within the front lines, threatening Chachi's command. The Hall had sent forward an executive combat office and the Kort'dakian assault cruiser. The combat office determined that it was time to pull out. In odd hierarchical tradition, Chaque was to be extracted before his swarm. It was the duty of the 2nd official to be the last pair of hooves on the ground. 1st artillery official Cabran saluted Chaque adieu. The mighty Kort'dakian in his regal orange armor would die on the moon. Chaque's drop ship docked with the command cruiser, and they coordinate extraction for the remnants of the battalion. 4. Kort'dakian armor and artillery seemed to be the only weapon keeping the biobots at bay. They kept up a steady rate of fire at point-blank range. The Spider engineers continued to hide in that line of fire. About 5 clips behind the Xeno lines, a Kort'dakian gunship caught a Spider in open. A small ordnance was useless, but a lucky shot with a squad rocket unleashed a massive explosion, taking out a good chunk of the Xeno reserves. 5. This slight setback bought the Kort'dakians some time. What was left of the swarm pulled back behind the mine's perimeter wall. All surviving troops for the Kort'dakian assault cruiser began to drop and then pull out. The mine's perimeter was valiantly defended by the very same commandos that had been on Orthan's exhibition to find the Xenos with Oten. Outside the gates, a few biomech pilots and artillery gunners prepared to make the ultimate sacrifice for their comrades. 6. The assault cruiser, loaded on the 1st and 3rd hive, led by the 3rd official Tien, fought the biobots at the central mine complex. He had no time to look up as the cruiser flew safely above. The battalion had numbered 10,000 hooves. A few hundred would escape with their lives. Though this debacle would never be recognized as the military action protocols remain, the 2nd official must die on the field. Fear his calm officer, the 2nd official of the hall, bid farewell and bid all transfers of honors to the family. 6. Spider Tag Commander Sergeant Akun knew he was dead. He had volunteered to stay with the rest of the armored flock. And once his tank was out of ammo, he knew he was dead, but he ran forward anyway.
as the last artillery gunners were overtaken on the major plain adjacent to the mine. The Spider emerged from behind a Sahi fossil with Kort'dakian heavy ordnance neutralized. The surviving gunship protecting the evacuating cruiser, the Spider engineer made its move. 7. This mighty Zeno spider with a bulbous head full of explosive liquid hopped onto the central mine complex. Official Tien's troops were already overwhelmed by the massive engineer as the beast lumbered underneath the main drill drive, underneath the primary shaft. Official Tien looked on with horror as he realized his imminent doom. All Kort'dakians around the entire galaxy shook in their subconscious, the core of their spines trembling just a tingle, even those cooking dinner and making love. 8. The Zeno engineer, with all of its vengeance, detonated with devastating effect, and the mine and its immediate environs were dispatched into oblivion. Tom, Emilie, merci.